friends. Welcome to the Inspiring Heights podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Kaiser, and I am delighted that you are here with us today. Our mission here at Inspiring Heights is to inspire you, our friends, to grow closer in your relationship with Jesus and to live inspired in your day-to-day life. We talk about all things faith, rhythmic living, and homemaking. Listen, we know you have a zillion podcasts that you could listen to, and we are honored that you chose to sit here with us today. With that, let's get right to it. We are in this really interesting part of the summer to fall transition. It's like Falmer right now. It's warm and the days are still long, but the nights get cool and our hearts are really starting to long for the rest that fall brings. And one of the things that's happening right now in this season is that our rhythms and routines are just starting to change, but they aren't yet quite settled into what they're going to be in, say, like a month, when the weather is chillier and the fall sports schedule is set and cast in stone and bedtime is earlier and the nights are shorter. Now, this transition looks different for everyone in every season. But for nearly all of us, there really is a shift happening right now. We talk a lot about rhythms and routines here on the show and what it looks like to reposition ourselves in new seasons and set our families and ourselves up for success and presence where our feet are. But in today's show, I really want to focus in on this uncomfortable in-between. I've been thinking about it quite a bit lately. I'm notorious for getting an idea in my head, like I should start XYZ, ending my days with a walk, or sitting outside on the deck a couple nights a week, batch making sourdough, whatever that it is. And then I think, you know what? I better wait, because in like a month, when XYZ changes, that rhythm is then also going to need to change. But here's what I've been reflecting on. There are a lot of in-between seasons in our lives. Summer to fall is one that we think and talk about all the time. But what about all those times when our schedules are going to change in 6 to 8 weeks, when Bible study ends, or sports league begins? Or even those short bursts of in-between time, like when we have commitments several weekends in a row, so forgoing something because our rhythm is going to be different in just a few weeks. Now, sometimes the season really isn't right for that thing. Like, it's not right to add that thing. But here's the deal. There is a difference between knowing your season and what fits here and what doesn't, and holding off on a lot of things until the time is perfect. And it's that pesky perfection that I've been aimed at trying to extinguish in my life. I don't want to miss good things just because they're going to change in a bit, or they might not be totally how I imagined that they should be right this second. Let's talk for a moment about distinguishing what fits in the season, though it might change, and what really should pause until a different season. I can also flip-flop this way, where I get overly ambitious about wanting to add something into our schedules, but now really doesn't make sense. Like, legit, not because it won't be perfect, but because it will inhibit my ability to show up for the things I've already committed to. I could give you all like 100 examples, but I'll choose one. I really want to learn to play the guitar. I played the guitar for a teeny tiny bit of time when I was young, but I didn't stick with it at all. And every so often, I just get this like overwhelming hankering to sign up for guitar lessons because I just want to play. But I know in this specific season that our lives are full. Our schedules are as full and sometimes even fuller as what we would like and thrive in. So I know, if I'm honest and willing to pause and reflect, that right now isn't the right season for guitar lessons. But next winter, when naturally our lives are a little slower, we spend more time inside at home, it could be a great addition to my schedule. As you consider what fits now, or as Nike would say, just do it, and what should wait for a different season, here's some ideas to ponder. What would I have to move, give up, or drop in order for that thing to fit? What is giving me pause about diving in? Naming our fears can help us weed out the real why behind our hesitation. And finally, am I waiting because it really doesn't fit or because it won't be perfect? Aside from perfection, part of what can be challenging during these short in-between seasons is that things are soon going to change, and we know that. So sometimes the honest question we ask ourselves is, why would I go to all the work or trouble of starting XYZ if I know I'm just going to have to pivot in like a month? Like I said earlier, the problem with this thinking, which is so easy for us to fall into, is that we can waste away half a year, and in so doing half our lives, in the midst of transition and change, waiting until we won't have to change. Isn't that an interesting way to think about it? So I might not be able to sit on the porch 2 nights a week in a month because it might be snowing. And when I speak it out loud, it seems so silly. Okay, so when it gets too cold, figure out something else to do in the evening. But the real rabbit trail is that I'm not trying to find something to do with my evenings, but I'm looking for a way to spend time outside on a rhythmic basis, right? So if it isn't going to be evenings on the porch in a month, then I got to figure out what it is going to be in a month and implement that very thing right now. Or I need to wait until that very thing makes sense instead of having to change my porch sitting rhythm. Phew, I get tired just thinking about it. And let's be honest, I'm not alone in this thinking. How many diets, gym memberships, and doctor's appointments get scheduled, started, and purchased on January 1st? I joke about being an all or nothing kind of girl, which serves me well in my commitments sometimes, but can also so often hold me back when I don't feel like I can be all in. And though some of us might have more of that in us than others, I think to some extent it's a combination of both culture and maybe even human nature. But I'm tired of missing half my life because I'm waiting for a season to come or go and my schedule to be the same for an extended period of time. And I wonder if you might be too. Here's some questions I've been reflecting on to help shift my mentality and fight against the not yet perspective. First of all, why not now? Why not now? Second, what do I have to lose? So quickly we can walk down the path of what's the point of doing it now if I'm just going to have to pivot in a few weeks. But if we flip that question on its head and consider what the cost of actually doing it is, it generally isn't nearly as much as we think it is. Finally, in a month, will I be glad I didn't, or will I wish I would have? Friends, as we walk through this in-between season, let's commit to pausing and rethinking about the rhythms and routines we are pushing off because they can't be perfect or they'll soon be changing. Let's stop wasting half our lives away waiting for the ideal and start living in today, because today is pretty darn amazing. Before I go, I want to take just a second to tell you what's been inspiring me lately. We have gotten to spend several nights in the past month or so having really deep and intentional conversations with several of our friends. After sitting on each other's couches and sharing our hearts, laughing and crying and praying together, I've walked away just so inspired. Our summer has been full and we haven't had as much of an opportunity to host summer parties as we did last year, which I've missed a lot. But these sweet and simple moments of real, deep conversation has been just what our hearts have needed. I would encourage you, friends, to pause and consider what's been inspiring you lately. Friends, thank you so much for listening in today. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. If you're so inclined, we would love for you to leave a review of the show wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps potential new listeners to get a feel for the show before they even hit play. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Inspiring Heights. If you haven't already, you can sign up for our newsletter, Inspiration from the Moment, by visiting our website, inspiringheights.org, and hovering over the Contact Us link. If you have friends that aren't yet subscribers, please share the podcast with them if you think it's something that would be helpful and inspiring to them. Okay, friends, until next time, take a deep breath and be inspired where your feet are. Bye for now.